So we're going to go now to Gretchen Pivonka's garden in Alameda, and we'll be touring Gretchen's garden with my neighbor, friend, and native plant garden designer, Lois Simons, the owner of Gardening by Nature's Design. So this is the front garden of Gretchen's house before, and here is the after photo. If you would be interested in having Lois design and install a native plant garden for you, you will find Lois's contact information in Find a Designer on the tour's website. This beautiful garden is 95% native. This is the back garden before photo. So the garden's owner, Gretchen, who has been on almost every tour since it began in 2005, said she was tired of wasting water and trying to grow a lawn on sand. So through the tour, she found Lois, who sheet mulched away the lawn and installed this beautiful native plant garden. A lawn removal rebate from East Bay Mud helped to pay for this project. This garden was designed to attract birds, and 17 species of birds have been seen in the garden. And let's go now to meet Lois. Hello, Lois.
Hi, Kathy. Good to see you.
You too. You ready to take us on a tour?
I am ready to take you on the tour.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to move us over to Gretchen's garden. Okay, here we are. So this is Gretchen's garden. As you can see, it's bookmarked by two large maples. It was very flat, rectangular when I first
Lois,
came.
we're going to need you to stand closer to the microphone.
Okay.
That's better.
So what I did is I put in a winding pathway to bring you into the garden and give you room for imagination. As I built up the path, I took out soil and used it to build up the planting bed between the maples. Whoa, what's going on? Sorry, I'm losing. I lost the picture there. When I come into a garden, Alameda itself is built up soil. So I follow the topography of the given land. And in here throughout the garden, you'll find that I am building up the soil, both to give it a sense of place, to keep the sense of place, and also for a sense of security as Alameda is surrounded by water. And in this time of climate change, it gives one a sense of at least emotional security. Now, as we go into this garden, it's oftentimes in partial shade. So I did emphasize the textural quality and shifts in the plants, as well as occasional pop-up of color. So we're going to go into the garden now. Coming into the garden, we have at the very beginning the Pink Island poppy. Yarrow with poppies surround. All of the plants, primarily all of the plants here in this garden, come from the California coastal strand and sage scrub. So they're all simply not plants that are picked out for color and texture, but also because they belong to the same community. And it creates a sense of place and a dynamic quality between the plants. I'm going to bring us to the manzanita. This is an Arctostaphylos, point raised, beautiful Arctostaphylos. And here we are at the Arctostaphylos. I'm going to give you a moment to center on it and focus on it. The Arctostaphylos, as all the manzanitas, have berries that the birds love. And also they're very tasty in a tea for us, as well as hikers can pick them while walking in the woods for a little extra energy. Okay, from the manzanita, and follow the texture here, we move to the prostrate chemise. Very different texture. This is about to flower. It runs about a foot high and 6 feet wide. It's a wonderful ground cover. And from there, we go to the Mahonia, or what's also known as the Oregon grape. So you can see the textural changes here in the garden, and then we introduce a burst of color with the sun drops. Later we bring in monkey flowers. And so the pattern repeats throughout this front planting bed. And I'm going to bring you to the end of, and then in the middle of the bed here, we have what's just beginning, which is the California goldenrod, which brings in butterflies into the garden. And I'm going to bring you now to the end of the bed. To the California bush anemone, Carpentaria californica. It has wonderful flowers, incredible display. It's a very slow growing shrub, but it's wonderful when it can be bordered on lawns, in this case, the neighbor's lawn, because it tolerates water. And as you can see, it has a wonderful flower. I'm going to move on to the side of the bed here. To the California coffeeberry. It also is a wonderful berry plant for birds and does well in sun and partial shade, as does the manzanita. So we're going to go crossing the path now to introduce you to the other bed across the way. You'll notice that we have some small stones here in the garden that we've highlighted with plants. Here's the monkey flower. I'm going to get a better shot of the monkey flower, hopefully, right there. These stones were found by Gretchen in her other home in Twain Harte in Sonoma County and brought here. And so we ended up incorporating them into the garden. Right behind the monkey flower here, we have a low shrub, which is the coyote bush, pigeon point. And it leads us into the manzanita Howard McMinn. I'm going to see if I can highlight this. Hold on. Sorry about that. Right here. It's a beautiful shrub. And the wonderful thing about this manzanita is that if properly placed and pruned, it keeps its lower leaves, which is very unusual for manzanita. And so it's a very good backdrop. It also here is
a little hard to hear you, Lois. You might want to make sure that you're near the microphone.
okay.
That's
It's also placed just below the windows, the front of the house, so that visually you're brought into the house now, not to the foundation, but to the windows, which is a welcoming to the home. It's a very basic tentative design.
It's a little hard to hear you again. I'm not sure what's up with the audio.
It's a very basic tentative design. Okay. I'm going to bring you now to the front of the garden again to show you the other side of the path. You'll see here a very lovely stand of grape Oregon grape. Moving along right now. Coming along the path here. And then we're going to look back again at the garden at the other side of the path. This is Galthesia speciosus, or the island snapdragon. Backed by the snowdrops and sage, the Salvia sonomensis. As well here, you can see the mountain mahogany. It's in the center of the path. It's tall and a little spindly right now, but it will fill out and connect the two maples, providing another connective link between the maples and the native bed. So this is the end of the tour in the front garden. We're going to go into the back garden now. Kathy, is that better? My voice?
Off and on. Sometimes it's really good and clear, and sometimes it's been pretty muffled. I'll tell you if you get muffled again, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So we're moving into the back garden right now. We have along the edge of the house, which will fill this entire space, is the lupin. I'm going to bring you to the back of the garden. I'm going to bring you to the back of the garden now. On this side, we have the native pennyroyal, and we have a little fruit garden in here. Raspberries and alaberry and strawberries, and of course the ubiquitous Meyer lemon. This this red bud found itself here, so we're kind of pruning it around this corner. And right alongside of it is the Douglas iris. So there you have the red bud and the Douglas iris. Okay, now we're going into the back garden.
You're a little muffled once again, Lois, so try to make sure that your microphone is as close as you can get it to your face.
Okay.
That's better. That's great.
Okay. So here is the back garden now. Okay. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, it is. It's great. Thank you.
Okay. Somehow it's going off and on. The picture. Guess you'll see it's going on and off. The picture is going on and off, much like my voice is going on and off. Kathy?
For us,
Okay.
we see the picture. It's a little blurry and so on, but we see a continuous picture.
Okay. The back garden was a lawn. It's a long rectangular garden, the length of which runs parallel to the house. And so I wanted to change those lines. So what I did in the center of the garden is I mounded up some soil. And from the mound, I brought a string of stone along each side to delineate in the front a meadow area, and behind the wall a shrub area. The shrubs in the backdrop here are covering the fence, creating a sense of space and enclosure, as well as connecting to the neighbor's ornamental plum trees, which also extends the garden further out. I'm going to now bring you, move you to the center, move to the center of the garden so I can show you one of the meadow areas.
Lois, can you just tell us how long have those shrubs at the back of the fence been in for?
I believe they've been here for what, 3 years? 3 years.
And like roughly what size were they when they were planted?
They were they 5 gallons? No, 1 gallons. They were 1 gallon plants.
That's amazing. They've really grown.
They've the mallows are prolific growers. The mallow on that on either side will send out runners, but they're very easy to pull up, and so to keep it contained. The Lavateria at one point was actually set for extinction, but it's being brought back. The mallow has lovely pink flowers. I'm going to show you that, a picture now. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cody, you got to bring it in the sunlight. There. And then the Lavateria, if you don't mind, I'm just going to walk towards the Lavateria so you can see the flowers there. Oh gosh. It's really not showing up very well, is it?
It looks fine on our end.
Oh, it does?
Flowers. Yes, it does. For us, it looks great. Hold it still for a sec till it pops into focus. Right now, it just popped in.
So it's just a beautiful lilac plant with lovely lines running throughout it, deeper lines. It's really quite pretty. This is an incredibly prolific grower, and a wonderful backdrop. It also does fine in somewhat impartial shade. I'm gonna move back here and fronting this mallow, and I'll show you the leaf of this mallow that has the pink flowers. In front of it is the white sage. I don't see, yeah, you can see it here. It's used in smudging by Native Americans for cleansing a space. So now I'm going to move away.
So Lois's audio just popped out there for a moment, but that was a sage we were looking at. I think it was a white sage, and she said it was used for smudging.
So see, it keeps on moving out. So what we have here is to the right of the mound, to the left of the mound, we have the string of stone, and then we come into the meadow. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating depth and perspective so that it's no longer flat. And ideally, in the backdrop, we will have another plant that will connect to the trees in the neighboring yards. And that plant is an elderberry, just hasn't grown up yet. I'm going to show you what the flowers look like. They're a beautiful yellow umbel. Isn't that great? And that will come arching over the shrub that you see now, which is the Salvia clevelandii. Unfortunately, not many of the plants are yet in flower at this time of year, but they have a beautiful swirl of deep purple flowers. And behind it is the Ceanothus dark star. And this is a picture of it. I'm hoping this comes through. Does that come through? Kathy, does that come through?
Sorry, it's a little glary.
It's glary. Is that better?
Not really. I can.
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
No?
Hold it real still. Maybe it can pop into focus. No, I think we have to call it a day on the Ceanothus.
Okay, sorry about that. So the base, we have the low growing meadow plants. and that is the California fuchsia. We have two varieties of fuchsia. One grows in a mound-like growth, and the other spreads. And here's the flower when it is in bloom. Then alongside of it is the buckwheat, the rosy buckwheat. And here's what the flowers will look like when they are in bloom. Is that coming through, Kathy?
It is. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Great. The purpose of this meadow here, as it goes from lower to mid height and soon to be higher, is that it provides habitat for birds and protection so they can move from the height down to the ground level and be protected by plants throughout. Okay, I'm going to now move to the other meadow area. And here's the other meadow area. I'm going to move closer. Oh, shit. I think I lost them. Okay. Okay, I think I've gotten you again.
Yes, we've got you.
On the
Lois.
mound is the California aster. It's a very hardy, drought-tolerant plant, and its actual flower. I'm going to move a little closer.
The audio is a little off right now, Lois. So I heard you say that the yellow on the left is a California aster.
The yellow on the left is a California aster. I've moved to the flowers. Can you see them? It has a beautiful, sweet little flower, but it's actual very sweet, kind of a fuzzy seed pod. So it's very sweet even when it's not in flower.
So the audio has gone off again, Lois. Maybe we should turn around and face the other direction and see if there's anything further to say we can hear you.
Lois, allow me to pop in for a second. Make sure you don't have your hand on the microphone. That
I don't have what?
audio. And while you arrange yourself, a lot of people have asked about your lupin. Earlier, you were talking about a lupin. Can you just say again which type of lupin that was?
It's a lupin aurora.
Aurora. Okay, I'm going to type it in.
Lupin.
Say that again.
It's a purple lupin. It's an annual that keeps it seeds prolifically.
It's an annual lupin aurora. That's an annual that seeds prolifically. So I think we'll give it one more minute to see if your audio comes back. And if it's very, very faint for us, Lois. So we'll see if we can hear the rest of your presentation. And if not, we might move along to the next garden.
But the audio, where's the audio?
Yep. So we've got, now you're kind of going in and out. That's the issue. Why don't you give it another stab? Let's see if we can get.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Good. Okay. Going to move into the meadow area. This is the seaside daisy.
Lois, is your hand on the microphone by any chance over the?
No.
Yep. Okay, that's perfect. If we can keep that audio, we're in good luck.
Okay.
Yep.
And we have here the goldenrod and blue-eyed grass. There's the blue-eyed grass. And here is the goldenrod.
So I'm just going to repeat so people can catch it. This is goldenrod.
And the sweet island pink yarrow is behind it. The sweet island yarrow is behind it. The variety of blue-eyed grass is the North Coast variety. You can get it at Annie's Annuals. And right behind this is a lovely eyelash grass. I don't know if you can see it in this picture, but it's very sweet and it looks just like an eyelash. Behind this, we have a grouping of manzanitas, Arctostaphylos, here in the front, and then behind the little stone wall, we have the Arctostaphylos sunset. It's a very unique Arctostaphylos because it grows both horizontally as a ground cover, and then it lifts itself up and becomes vertical as a shrub. Another manzanita that follows this kind of habit is the Pacific Mist manzanita. Both of them are wonderful with rocks, along rock faces. Here to the side, we have a shrub manzanita. That is the Howard McMahon. And once again, its leaf is much larger. It is a shrub and it's much lighter in color. So you can see that there's a really nice variety and range of shapes and colors within the Manzanita Arctostaphylos family. Along the fence here, we have berry plants that will create, in 2 years, will cover the fence and provide food for the birds.
So
Right
Lois,
behind this Dr. Herd is the Pacific wax myrtle, Myrica californica.
so Lois, I think we have about 1 more minute and then we should pop off to the other garden.
Okay, all right. Here's a ribes. And I'm going to move along here to another ribes, the King Edward VII. And then I'm going to move along here to the house where we have underlying the windows of the house here, the huckleberry. You can see it forms a nice outcropping of plants. So that concludes the back garden tour.
All right. Well, Lois, thank you so much. It's a beautiful garden. And thank you for taking us on a tour of the garden. And we'll say goodbye now. And thank you, Lois.